Hey Rick,
Hey Megan, it is election day. Pretty cool, huh?
it is. It is the election day, and I guess we won't start hearing any results till about 4. And
At least.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go be out in Long Beach looking at a house with some of my
Mhm.
most beloved clients, and so yeah, so hopefully, everything's okay in the streets.
I think it will be. I think it will be. Well, I think in California we're the last to hear of all this stuff, so we're in the 3 hours behind everybody else. So
Right,
we should be good.
exactly, exactly.
Should be good.
So speaking of the nation and that sort of thing, what we've got here is sorry, somebody's in my little library outside my office and they're making a big noise. What we wanted to talk about today were some big events that happen that affect the interest rates, right?
Awesome.
And one of those things happened last week, something else is happening this week. And then we're going to talk about how real estate affects the macro and micro, economy and job creation, that sort of thing. So tell us about the jobs report that comes out, if you could, about how that might affect interest rates. And then the feds are meeting this week. Can you fill us in?
Mhm. Yeah, it's great stuff, by the way. And there's a lot of things that impact what we do on the mortgage side. And there are certain numbers that really have the biggest impact. One of the biggest numbers is always going to be the jobs report. Now, there's a lot that goes in those components of that report, but why is that important? Well, that's important because the job growth is a huge indicator of the growth of the economy. And so when you look at mortgage rates, here's the weird thing. With good economic news is not good for mortgage rates because when you have really a strong economy, that indicates, well, right behind that's going to be inflation. And so when you have this rising inflation, the Fed response to that is, well, the way you curb inflation is you increase interest rates to slow down spending. So it's that ebb and flow, the push pull of that cycle, right? So over this past 3 years, what ramped these rates up was, as we know now, inflation rates. I think inflation was 3 years ago around 6.5%.
Mhm.
That's bad, right? Well, that's good for the economy, but bad for rates. And so over the past 3 years, they've been bringing that number down. The target rate's around 2%. We're close to that now. But we had a jobs report last week that was actually a month ago. We talked about the Fed discount a month or so ago, the last meeting, which really was an indicator of the Fed was saying, well, job growth is weak, the economy's weak. That justifies this full 50 basis point reduction on the Fed discount.
Mhm.
Well, a couple of weeks later, the jobs report came out showing a really, really strong job report, and that just kind of crashed the market. It's like, well, wait a minute, maybe the Fed acted too fast here. Let's put the brakes on this for a little bit. Well, the report came out this past week, which was not good for jobs. Okay, but there's a lot going on. The Fed is meeting tomorrow, and I think we're going to see a 25 basis point reduction in the Fed discount rate. But let's also be mindful as we talk about this. When we see that number come out this week, that does
Mhm.
not mean that the mortgage rates dropped a quarter percent. The Fed discount rate dropped a quarter percent. Well, why is that important? Well, it's important because you're buying a car, you're getting consumer loans, you have credit cards. Those get impacted immediately by the Fed discount rate. I think the market, though, Megan, has not been reacting much to these numbers lately because guess what
Mhm.
the big thing is today? Well, this thing
Mhm.
called the election, right?
Mhm.
And so, depending upon where that goes, the markets read each candidate a little bit differently about how that's going to impact, guess what, the economy.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, until I think we have some very clear guidance and clear direction on who the next president will be, I think the market's kind of waiting with bated breath to go, okay, let's stop for a minute. Let's see which way this is going to go. And then we'll go from there. I do think, however, regardless, we'll see a 25 basis point drop in the Fed discount rate this week, which is overall going to be very, very good. Long term, I'm very bullish on where the market's going on rates.
Mhm.
Very clearly where that's going to go. How far it will go, we don't know. How long it will take, well, it always takes longer than we expect because, as I always say, when the rates are going up, it's like watching a raging forest fire, right? And when rates are going down, It's like watching grass grow, and that is painful to watch. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just got to be mindful. The media, gosh, the media never gets it right. They never get it right. They have all these news bites and these headlines think, oh my gosh, rates just plummeted. Rates are never going to plummet. Over time, they're going to go down, but they never move in a straight line. It's going to go up and down, up and down. Long term, it's going to be going down. So that's kind of maybe a long answer to a short question. Jobs are important. Retail sales are important. The retail sales for the Christmas holidays coming up, that's an important number. So it's a gauge of the health of the economy, where the market's going. So just be mindful of economic data. Strong data on the market indicates inflation and pause of those lowered rates. If we start seeing weak data, weak sales reports, weak manufacturing reports, weak job reports, that's good for rates. But again, it's over time that takes for it to go down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that is a very, very thorough explanation and easy to understand in regular talk, layman's terms, as they say. And in the essence of that conversation, I wanted to touch on how many jobs does a real estate transaction create? Well, first, you start out with a seller, let's say a seller in this example, and the seller is preparing their house for sale. So maybe they hire the painter, the plumber, that sort of thing, right? Then the seller's hiring a moving van, a cleaner, having different repairs made, that sort of thing. They've got the realtors that have jobs. They've got the escrow officers, the title officers, and everybody that it's kind of the loan officers, everybody that falls under that umbrella. Then the buyer moves in, they buy household furniture, right? Then they're doing some remodeling, they're also paying the moving company. I mean, a real estate transaction, trying to make sure that I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, no. Home related spending, property taxes increase, cities get more revenue because the house prices usually have gone up from the last person that paid property taxes. So, I mean, real estate is a really significant economic engine.
The big D.
And yeah, there's a really sweet spot to keep us going. And I don't think that 7% rates are gonna, the prices are gonna have to start to sort of, become comfortable with what the payments are, because like we always say, people they really want to, they're payment focused,
Right,
and I
right.
think 7% is just a little bit much, but I did put a house up for sale. I've put two up for sale in the last, or three of them up for sale in the last couple of weeks, and they all went pretty quickly, but we priced them well, in the 800 to a million price range. But yeah, so I'll be looking forward to rates even in, the low sixes, and the high fives would be really amazing. So,
Yeah, I think we'll get to that high fives, but won't be for a little while longer. But look, anything around 6% is a really healthy market. You got to put that in perspective. We got very spoiled, during the pandemic of these really, really low rates. That's not a normal market, not even
right.
close. You
Yeah.
look at the market historically over the last 20 or 30 years. I mean, I remember really well around 2002, maybe 2003. We hit rates of 5 and 7/8. I thought, my gosh, we're off to the races. It's going to be like lying
Yeah.
around the
Yeah.
block, people buying houses, 6%, 5 and 7/8. It was a great rate. And so that we get used to that kind of a market. And then went to that market 2 years ago, and people think, well, 3% is really cool. And gosh, it really is cool, but that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's not a reasonable market. And so anything around that 6%, 6.5 range is a really good market. I know can go along here, but I remember I sat in a meeting in 1984, a mortgage
Ah,
banker dinner meeting. This is a big dinner meeting, right? Big deal. That one of the guy from Fannie Mae was speaking at the meeting. Now you have to realize in '84 where rates were. Well, rates were coming down. 30-year
mhm.
fixed rates were around 15%, 14 and 7/8. So I thought that was a good market. Um, we were coming out with the very first variable rate loans at around 10.5 to 11%. Variable
Yeah.
rates, no caps. Anyway, the guy at Fannie Mae at this big mortgage banker dinner meeting said, look, here's the deal, guys. I'm here to tell you that it was like yesterday. We will never see 30-year fixed rates below 10% again. That's what he
Ah,
said,
yeah.
84. Okay, so gotta put things in perspective, right? So, gosh, 6%, 6.5, 6.75, that's a really healthy market.
Mm-hmm.
3%'s a dream. It's a dream. 4%'s a dream.
Yeah.
5.5%'s really a dream. But if we get
Right.
below 6% next year, and I think we will at some point for some period
Mm-hmm.
of time, that's gonna be terrific. But right now, by the way, rates are really good. So we have to
Yep.
accept that.
Yep. And don't try to time the market. It is a fool's errand.
Yeah,
And yeah, just see if something works out. If the payments are okay for your budget, then we suggest you just put a ring on it and call it a day.
exactly right. Exactly right. And by the way, we talked about this before. You can always, when there's opportunities, lower your monthly payment, but you can't lower
Oh,
the price of the house later on,
yeah.
right? So buy now. If you can make the payment and get qualified and get approved, buy the house. When the rates drop, that's the opportunity to save 400, 500, or 600 a month, maybe more. But
Right.
but now you have the house.
Right.
You have the house.
Exactly.
Without the house, nothing more. I mean, rates could be 2%. Without a house, doesn't matter.
Doesn't
You
even
got to get the
matter.
house. Yeah,
Yep. Get the house. Ladies and gentlemen, get the house. All right,
every
Rick.
time.
I appreciate you. Thank you for all that
Appreciate you, Megan.
insight. And I can't believe you were in a mortgage bankers meeting in 1984.
I
You
remember it
don't want
well.
the day over, you know.
35, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was only
Exactly.
16, I think, in 84. I don't know. It's something like that, I think.
Oh my gosh. All right. All right. Have a good rest of your week.
You too, Megan. Thank you. See you later.
All right. Talk to you later.